Thanks a lot, Matt, and thank you, Helen, for a fantastic opening talk. I mean, you spoke obviously about New Zealand, but the issues are definitely international, not just a New Zealand issue. So next on our agenda, the start of our first talk is going to be Nathalie Cornée. Nathalie, I've already made you co-host. If you want to share your screen, we shall get going on the hour. So Nathalie is going to talk to us about Overton as she gets her talk ready. Actually, I'm sure Nathalie is going to tell us, but I don't know how old Overton in terms of the software, the website or the company is. Nathalie is going to tell us more, but I certainly became aware of Overton just last year when I heard a seminar delivered by Nathalie for our library and the staff at City University of Hong Kong. So often this meeting is about welfare research and impact, and documenting impact is super important. So Overton is one way, at least, of developing the records and seeing how we can actually get some documents together showing impact when it actually occurs. Sorry for that sort of long-winded preamble, but over to you, Nathalie. Happy for you to start. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alan, and thank you everyone for your warm welcome and giving me the opportunity to talk with you today. Can you see my slides? Yeah, excellent. So I'm Nathalie, and I work in Overton's support and engagement team. So in today's presentation, I'm going to talk a bit about Overton, what we do, and also about the underlying data. And following this, I'm going to zoom into the policy influence of animal welfare research. So that's what I've called approach one here. Very briefly, I'm going also to flip the data around, and instead of looking first by the cited research, I'm going to look at the citing policy document related to animal welfare and what they cite. But I won't have too much time for this, so the full slide deck is available right here. And toward the end, I'm going also to show very briefly Overton Engage, which is a new platform trying to bring researchers and policymakers together. So Overton is a small company based in London, and the reason why it got created in the first place is very much to make policymaking process more transparent, so that researchers and funders get the credit they deserve for their policy influence. We want to facilitate connections in between researchers and policymakers. We are not saying that the policy citations are evidence of direct impact, but hopefully they can help as indicators of attention, visibility, and hopefully influence. So how does it work? So basically, Overton is a database of policy document. You've got 11.7 million in the database right now, and you can search within the full text of those policy documents. In this case, I've done a search on marine mammals. And what you can do for the set of policy documents you're interested in is you can very quickly pull out if they cited academic research, if they cited policy document. And the definition that we've got of a policy document is quite broad, because we want to take everything from the beginning of the policymaking process up to the end. So we also index documents from NGOs, IGOs, and think tanks, not just government bodies. And the third type that you can find of citation in Overton is what we call researchers mentions. So sometimes experts are being mentioned in policy document without just linking straight away to one of their policy document, to their article, sorry. So is animal research being cited in policy? So to find this out, the strategy I developed, or the methodology I developed in Overton, is I first looked at OpenAlex, which is an open catalog of academic publications for the topic of animal welfare. Then I actually filtered my result for recent publications only, so 2016 to 2022. And I got a set of 11,000 plus DOIs. Then I uploaded them into Overton, and 970 of them got cited at least by one policy document. And then what you can view is all the policy documents citing them, so 616 in this case. And one of the strengths of Overton is you can also see the connection and the dynamics in between policy documents. So I can see that my first citation circle here also got cited by other policy document, which also got cited by a third citation circle. And every time they got bigger. Coming back to this 970 figure of DOIs being cited in policy, it's basically 8% of my initial set. And if you consider that these are a recent set of academic publications and that policymakers tend to cite older academic research rather than recent publication, this is quite a good number, especially when you look at the entire database across topics, and you can see that 6% of academic research get referenced in policy. Now, if we look at the main characteristic of the cited research, here we've got the 38 top research organizations that have produced the most publications that got cited in policy. So it's a co-authorship network that you see here, allowing you also to view the collaborations in between them. So the bigger the node here means the higher the number of cited publications. You've got 7 clusters on this graph. And what you can see very quickly is collaboration often tend to happen at the national level or at least with nearby countries. If you look at the topics of the cited DOIs, you've got 15 clusters this time. So this one was done by the word from the titles, and only the top ones actually appear. You've got 15 clusters, and if we zoom into a couple, for instance, you can see here some of them are related to the welfare of elephants in zoo, or this one will be about attitudes of farmer in Great Britain and so on. So you can see the relationships in between them. And so you have a better understanding of what gets cited in policy. For the quantitative analysis of the data, here you've got all the publications that got cited at least one in policy, and you can see when they got published. If we look at this graph here, you can see for every cited year how many publications were produced or published each year. So what's quite interesting is for 2020 and 2021, these publications got picked up very quickly by policymakers because they got published on the same year. Here also you've got a graph of the citation distribution, and it's quite typical of a citation graph in the sense that you have a few outliers, 3 of them, and they have been cited by more than 20 policy documents, while most academic publications received fewer citations from policy documents, with a very long tail where only 1 policy document cited 1 academic publication. Now, if we look at who cited these academic publications, you've got 3 tables just showing you the top one. So on the left side, you've got a table showing you the type of policy organizations that have cited this set of 270 DOIs. And at first glance, it looks like it's mostly from government bodies. But if you add up IGOs, NGOs, and think tanks, you actually have more. It's quite important also to focus on those ones because they tend to get cited much more by government bodies than them citing directly academic research. So you've got an indirect way often. So you have a direct way between government and academic research, but also it's worth exploring these these intermediaries too. For the middle table, you can see the top countries of the citing policy organizations that tend to be mostly from the global north, as we can see, but that's also due probably because of our coverage, because we are trying to cover policy documents from all around the world, but I think proportionally, it's fair to say that most of the policy document currently indexed tend to come from the global north, at least the 2/3. Here we still have Australia. And for this right table here, you've got the name of the policy sources. And as you can see, that tend to come mostly from Europe for many of them, showing that Europe seems to be, for at least they tend to cite animal welfare research more than other countries. Here, it's also quite interesting to dive into specific countries, and this is actually a trend. I've taken the example of Germany here, but you will see it replicated for all the different countries. And if you look at citations from government bodies for a given country, what you're going to pick up is they tend to cite research from their national universities. I guess it might make sense because the university's mission will be in line with the national priorities. So governments, national governments will tend to cite universities from their own country. Now, if we look and zoom into the most cited research, so one of the outliers, this one is from 2016, and it's an opinion paper. It got cited by 29 policy documents, and you can view them, and there are different types, government, NGOs, think tanks. But you can see that they also got cited by a larger initiative like Fur-Free Europe, undertaken by the EU Commission. So you will have an indirect win between the academic research and the wider initiative. So that's for the most cited. But if you look at the less cited, it's also true. In this case, you've got a 2020 publication cited by one policy document, which turns out to be the Farm to Fork strategy, which sits within a wider scheme, the European Green Deal. So we need to go beyond the number, and we need to look at the context of the citations to try and understand the significance of them. For the second approach, which I'm going to mention very briefly, so are policymakers interested in animal welfare? So it's basically starting off with their research, with their publications. So here, the way to do that would be to look at policy documents with the topic of animal welfare. We've got a strategy here since 2018. And what you can pull out is everything that it's cited. So they cited academic research, mentioned researchers, and cited policy documents. You see that the number here is much higher than for approach one. So probably something you want to explore. And what you can also pull out is all the policy documents that have cited this initial set of policy documents. If we look at the 21,000 plus academic publications that this set of policy documents related to animal welfare cited, you see the top words from the titles here again, but it expands beyond animal welfare and also mentions topics related more to environment issues and health. And just to finish off, how can Overton help academic experts in animal welfare connect with relevant policy organizations? So we've recently launched this new database, which is a database of policy engagement opportunities. And the idea behind is very much try to connect these different worlds that can work sometimes in silos. So we want to help the research community better understand policy priorities. And we also want to improve policymakers' access to academic expertise. So you can either search, or you can browse, or you can also refine opportunities by countries, knowing that for the time being, you only have some from the EU, UK, US, and Ireland. But we are hoping to expand on this. Once you've got an opportunity like this one, you can see who it matches, who are the academic experts that could be a good fit for this funding or these government opportunities. So I'm just going to stop here now, and I'm very happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Nathalie. And apologies for my text error when I asked for questions in the chat. There's a question already from George. So when policy towards improving animal welfare is applied, the scientific evidence is already taken into account. So why is keeping track of citations of scientific publications and policy documents important in itself?
It will be important for various reasons. It's something that can also, well, yeah, so the reason why it will be important would be for a different level, I think. So many academics will need to report back, and for grant applications and stuff like this. So they will need to show basically I'm not sure if impact is the right word here, because what you can pull out of Overton is very much the visibility and the attention academic research has received in policy document, but it can help very much develop your career. It's also something that a large institution or research organizations need also to report on. And so our funders also trying to report on all this. For policy makers, it's also interesting to connect with the academic research, and Overton is a tool, a pragmatic tool that allows them to see the cited research too.
Thanks, Nathalie. And just a quick comment. I mean, as I mentioned at the start, I only discovered Overton last year, and I have to admit, I didn't know how to check where my publications were being cited in policy documents before discovering Overton. So it can be quite a challenge. So I was happy to see that. So thank you very much, Nathalie. Again, in the interest of sticking to the schedule, we will move on to the next speaker. And of course, if people have continuing questions for Nathalie, I'm sure Nathalie is sticking around for a while, so you can put them into chat and she will be happy to answer. So over to you, Matt, for the next one, please. Thank you again, Nathalie.